All right, it's 11:15. Let's start the celebration. Grab a seat. There's still a few good ones left. Let's go ahead. I don't know where Pastor Jim is, but it was so great seeing everybody in here. I'm sure he's out there greeting and saying goodbye. I was going to suggest to Pastor Jim that with all these folks here today, this is the fullest I've seen the sanctuary in a long time, since pre-pandemic. And it's great to see all of you here today, some that we haven't seen for a long time, but I got to thinking, maybe we should celebrate Janice every Sunday if this is what it takes to... All right, good morning. My name's Rich Kimmy, and I have the honor and the privilege of walking us through the celebration of Janice this morning. And I'd like to welcome the extended Moen family that we have here today and guests that we have. And for those that are joining us or tuning in through Facebook or YouTube this morning. So the plans for this event this morning is really a musical tribute to Janice. And what a better way to celebrate Janice than to do it through music. And yeah, amen is right. And so we'll have several performances, and then we're going to have a couple of special gifts for Janice, of course. And then we're even going to give Janice some time here to say a few words before this is over. And then the potluck, what we were referring to as the good old-fashioned Methodist potluck. Couple of items regarding the potluck. You start in the fellowship hall where you pick up a plate at one end of the table, and then the food is in between. Going down, we're going to use both aisles so we can move people through as fast as possible. And then the silverware, or plasticware in this case, is at the other end of the table, and the drinks are behind. And so after our last song, you're encouraged to get up and head south towards the fellowship hall there. So I know many of you were thinking the same thing that I was when we heard that Janice was retiring and no longer going to play the organ here at the Kent United Methodist Church. And it kind of goes like this. Oh no, I wanted Janice to play at my memorial service. And I'm still alive and feeling pretty dang good. So I guess you'll have to go to Plan B, although Janice has consented to continue to play at weddings and memorial services. At least she has first right of refusal. And so if you want to accelerate your departure up, you might be in luck there. So we got the first musical tribute is provided by all of you, and it's a sing-along, and it's called When Our Music, God is Glorified. When in our music, God is glorified. And Brian, I think you're going to come up and lead us in this song.
Yes, you can find it in your hymnal on page 68. Or you can follow the words up on the screen. Let's stand in body or in spirit as we join together in song.
When in our music God is glorified, and adoration leaves no room for pride. It is as though the whole creation cried, Alleluia. Let every instrument be tuned for praise. Let all rejoice who have a voice to raise. And may God give us faith to sing always. Alleluia.
Thank you.
So if there was anything that ever good came out of the COVID, it was that it forced our church to stream Sunday services and special events. And to do that, we had to mount cameras throughout the sanctuary here. And it just so happened that one of these cameras is located right up here, right above the organ, right above the piano. And of course, Gary this morning has another one right above the keyboard there. And you know, for years, we've heard Janice play the organ. But all we've seen is the back of the organ and Janice's head, okay? But now we can see Janice and Pat play the organ and what it goes into it. And if you were watching this morning, the left hand's going one way, the right hand's going another way. The left leg's playing the pedals down below, and then the right leg's taking care of some things, you know? And then on top of that, she has to turn the page, okay? So no offense, guys, but that's a job only a woman can do, okay? So I was thinking it might be fun to have some trivia regarding Janice and maybe the organ this morning, like how many pedals, foot pedals, are down below, or how many pipes there are, or how old the organ is. But I got to thinking many of you probably would think I was asking how old the organist was, and not the organ, and I didn't want to go there. By the way, there's, I think, 42 foot pedals down there, but there's 2 extra pedals, okay? And I was asking Lisa, Janice's daughter, what those extra 2 pedals were down there, and she says, oh, Rich, that controls the volume. And so I was looking at those pedals. The one on the right makes things louder, okay, increases the volume, and the one on the left, of course, does the opposite. It decreases the volume. And when I looked at them a little closer, I noticed the right-hand one, the one that increases the volume, was pretty worn out, okay? And the one on the left-hand side looks brand new, like it's never been used before. Now, I'm not complaining. I grew up in the 60s, and, you know, louder is better. And Janice is not shy about using the right pedal, as we knew towards the postlude this morning on that. So the one area that our custodian does not have to dust in the sanctuary here is the pipes, because Janice does that every Sunday when she plays. So now we have the men's quartet that's going to perform for us this morning, Ride the Chariots. And singing in the quartet is Brian Kohler, Trevor Biglin, Mark Jackson, and Craig Solbrick.
Janice, between you and I know what those 2 pedals really do. Okay.
One. I'm gonna ride
the chariot in the morning, Lord.
Ride
the chariot in the morning, Lord.
I'm getting ready.
I'm getting ready for the judgment day. my Lord, my Lord.
Are you ready, my brother?
Oh, yes.
Ready for the journey?
Oh, yes.
Wanna see your maker?
Oh, yes. I'm waiting for the chariot 'cause I'm ready to go.
I'm gonna ride
Ride the chariot in the morning, Lord.
Ride
the chariot in the morning, Lord.
I'm getting ready.
I'm getting ready for the judgment day. My Lord, my Lord. I never will forget that day. Riding the chariot to see my Lord. When all my sins were taken away. Riding the chariot to see my Lord.
I'm gonna ride
The chariot in the morning, Lord.
Ride
The chariot in the morning, Lord.
I'm getting ready.
I'm getting ready for the judgment day. My Lord, my Lord. I'm gonna ride the chariot in the morning, Lord. I'm gonna ride the chariot in the morning, Lord. I'm gonna ride in the chariot to reach the
sky.
to reach the sky.
Thank you, Mark, Brian, Trevor, Craig. Very well done. So playing the organ was Janice's weekend and evening job for the most part. However, Monday through Friday, she was a school teacher. She taught elementary school in North Dakota and in Washington here from 1970 through 2000. And during that time, she wrote music curriculum for classroom teachers to incorporate music into their classroom learning and to help students remember important facts. As a teacher, she received the Award for Excellence at East Hill Elementary School, the Washington State Excellent in Education Award, also known as the Krista McAuliffe Award, and the Golden Acorn Award. Now, I know many of you have had children or grandchildren who have been in school and had Janice for a teacher. I'm just wondering if you could show your hands if you had a child or a grandchildren that had Janice. I know there's some out there, quite a few. Yeah, thank you. I know that Laura and Mike Lapata had two children that had Janice for a music teacher, and Laura told me the story. She was my kids' music teacher at Sawyer Woods when they were in the 5th and 6th grade. During a musical performance when they were in the 6th grade, my kids and two of their friends were all on the back row of the risers and were cutting up. I saw Janice give them a stern teacher look, and from then on, they behaved themselves. Now, ever since then, I was afraid of her, even after I joined the KUMC choir. She and I still laugh about that now, and she's always interested in hearing what the boys are doing, and was so happy to see them when they came to church on Christmas Eve. So another person that Janice has mentored and I would say realized the musical talent was Candy Chang. And a lot of you know Candy. She's performed in this church many times, flute solos. And Janice started mentoring her in the 5th grade, which was about 15 years ago. And now Candy is playing the flute in the elite Air Force band. Candy unfortunately, she couldn't be here today, but she did the next best thing. She created a video to be shown. And so if we can see that now, that'd be great. Should we move on and go back to this? I can do that. So today we're celebrating Janice and her 40 years of playing organ and piano at the Kent United Methodist Church. But she's been playing another 17 years in other churches. There was 9 years that she played at the Presbyterian Church in Gilby, North Dakota. A year or two at the First Christian Church in Longview, and another 7 years in the Presbyterian Church just down the road here. Churches aren't the only place that Janice has played. She's played in retirement homes, nursing homes. She has substituted or assisted for the Rainier Youth Choir as well as the Moen Choir. And of course, she's played a lot in schools. Janice has even played ragtime music at a Shakey's Pizza Parlor in North Dakota. That's while she was attending North Dakota University, where she was earning a degree in both music and another one in elementary education. And so while Janice was out front in the pizza parlor, Shakey's, playing music to the customer, guess who was back making pizzas? Yeah, the little old pizza maker, Butch. Yeah. Uh-huh. Butch told me the other day he was making $1.30, I think it was $1.37 an hour, somewhere around there. Janice was out front playing and making $13. Huh? Oh, Butch. All right, we good, Gary? Okay, back to Candy Chang.
I'm Mrs. Moen and friends. It's Candy from Northern California. I'm so sorry I couldn't be at your musical tribute today, but Mrs. Moen, today we celebrate you, we appreciate you, we treasure you, we value you, and we are so grateful for you being you. I was thinking of what to play, and Sonata Appassionata by Kurt Gayler came to mind because the literal translation, Passionate Sonata, that describes you. You're so passionate about the arts, about music and worship and teaching, and we are so grateful for you. You're such a valued member of this community and of my community. Thank you so much for being a friend and mentor to me for the past 2 decades. Hi, Mrs. Moen and friends. It's Candy from Northern California.
Candy, if you happen to be watching on YouTube or Facebook this morning, thanks so much for taking the time and the effort to put that video together and be a part of our celebration of Janice this morning. And now the Kent United Methodist Choir will perform Psalm 100. Now we all know that Janice didn't write the words to this song, but she did write the music to it. And it's under the leadership of our sanctuary choir director, Brian Kohler, who looks like he wants to say something.
This piece of music was actually written for a special occasion. I don't know if you remember this, Janice, but Kent has a tradition of having an annual choir night. And it was our turn to host, and Janice wrote the piece that all the choirs would sing. So this piece of music is not only here, but probably in some other churches here in the area. So let us join together in Psalm 100 for you.
Praise
Judy Pace said earlier in our service today, we are so blessed to have a choir like this. So one of the gifts that are being presented to Janice today is what is being called an arrangement of another song that she's created the music for, which is 23rd Psalm. And she wrote the music for this. And Brian, to tell us a little bit more about what goes into an arrangement, if you wouldn't mind. And then Brian's also going to sing the 23rd Psalm that Janice created.
So this is a copy of the piece of music that we sang this morning called The Handiwork of God, which, by the way, was purchased by the Quilt Guild for the choir to sing. And I hope you enjoyed the imagery of being stitched together in a quilt of love. If you look at the very top of the inside of the page of the music, it says, celebrating the 25th anniversary of Desert Skies United Methodist Church, Tucson, Arizona, and honoring the music ministry of Susan Schild. Every piece of music that comes out has that dedication on it because this church hired Mark Miller, the composer, to write the arrangement, and then this publishing company actually purchased the arrangement. So every time this piece of music comes out, it has that dedication on it. Many of the pieces of music that we sing do have that dedication on it. I just don't usually share that with you, depending upon the significance of it. So I worked and sought out a composer by the name of Joel Rainey. Joel Rainey happens to be the head of Hope Publishing, which is a sacred choral music publisher that we use quite a bit, and actually we do several of Joel's arrangements. When Janice asked me to sing this setting of the 23rd Psalm, I thought it was so beautiful that we needed to share it with more people. And what a wonderful tribute to create a legacy for Janice and for this church, for us to hire Joel Rainey to write an arrangement of this song for us, which he has agreed to do. However, he's currently on vacation, so it's not done yet, and we have to pay for it. So if you are interested in helping to contribute to this legacy, not only will we get the music, but we'll get an engraved copy, which we plan to have framed and in a prominent place here in the church so that you might be able to see that, and we can continue to honor Janice and the beautiful gift of music that she has given us throughout the years. Now, if I can pull myself together, I'd like to sing for you the solo version of what will soon be a choral arrangement for us. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in pastures green. He leads me beside the waters still, and he restores my soul. Yes, he restores my soul. Even though I walk through the shadows of death, my evil will I fear, for you are there. You are always there.
Thy rod and thy staff, they will comfort even me. And my cup overflows. And my cup overflows. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want.
Can you see why this piece of music needs to be shared? Is it not just a beautiful, beautiful setting? And thank you.
Thank you, Brian. And Pat for accompanying him. Hey, so one of my favorite stories of Janice evolves around a Christmas Eve service many years ago. And traditionally what we do is the pastor gives his Christmas Eve message, okay? And then we sing Silent Night. And we all have candles, which we light, okay? And then we go into Joy to the World. And so Silent Night is one of the few songs that Janice plays the left pedal on, okay? It's kind of quiet. But when we get to Joy to the World, she floors the right pedal. I mean, she pushes it through the floor. Anyway, she did an outstanding job, as she always does, this Christmas Eve. And after the service, I went up to Janice to tell her what a great job and how well it went. Janice leans over and says, "Rich, you're not going to believe this, but the music sheets fell off the organ stand halfway through the first verse." But you know what? Janice was the only one that knew that because she played the rest of the first verse and the following 3 verses, all 4 verses, without any sheet music. Huh? I mean, so I don't know if you've ever, well, I know you have. You've heard her play Morning is Broken. She doesn't use any sheet music for that either. She just plays it as she feels it. And Cat Stevens, who is known for that song, she's made him proud with it. All right, so now we're going to have the Women's Ensemble perform for us, and they're going to be singing Let It Be a Dance. It's being led by Dee Anderson. Of course, Dee is one of our former sanctuary choir directors. Dee, it's great to have you leading this. Rumor has it that Janice formed this group, maybe not necessarily all the same people, but the Women's Ensemble many, many, many years ago.
May I have this dance
Thank you, Dee, Women's Ensemble. So one of the disadvantages of being the church organist is you have to stay awake during the sermon, okay? And that's because Janice usually comes down and sits next to Butch during the sermon. But if you've noticed, even like this morning, she has to anticipate when Pastor Jim is starting to wrap it up so she can get back up and be ready to play. And I got to thinking the other day, maybe, just maybe, it might be the other way around. That when Janice starts heading towards the organ, Pastor Jim knows it's time to start wrapping it up. So hey, just a reminder for those that want to contribute to the love offering, there is a box in the very back there. If you're writing a check, write it out to the KUMC. We'll make sure that Janice gets the money, and just mark it the Janice celebration or something that we know it goes to Janice. So our closing, not exactly our closing hymn, but our last performance today is by Terry Bolander and Liz Goff. And they're going to treat us to a duet, and the duet is titled For Good. And again, Pat Gray will be accompanying them on the piano.
You're going to talk about it? So a word about this song, which is not a hymn, by the way. This is a Broadway hit, which we were tempted to change the words on, because if you know the music from Wicked, this is the Good Witch and the Wicked Witch, who really didn't get along very well for a very long time, and that is not our story. But this song does speak to how you have influenced our lives and the lives of everybody here.
I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason, bringing something we must learn, and we are led to those who help us most to grow if we let them, and we help them in return. Well, I don't know if I believe that's true, but I know I'm who I am today because I knew you. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes a sun, like a stream that meets a boulder halfway through the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better, but because I knew you. I have been changed for good.
It well may be that we will never meet again in this lifetime. So let me say before we part, so much of me is made of what I've learned from you. You'll be with me like a handprint on my heart. And now whatever way our stories end, I know you have rewritten mine by being my friend. Like a ship blown from its mooring by a wind off the sea, like a seed dropped by a skybird in a distant wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better, but because I knew you,
Because I knew you, I have been changed for good.
And just to clear the air, I ask forgiveness for the things I've done you blame me for.
But then I guess we know there's blame to share, and none of it seems to matter anymore.
Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun, like a stream that meets
Like
a
a seed dropped
boulder
by a bird
halfway
in the
through the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? I do believe I have been changed for the better. And because I knew you,
because I knew you, Janice.
because we love you, we have been changed for good.
I've been to that theater production a couple of times, and I've never heard it performed any better than today. Thanks, Terry and Liz. Before I ask Janice to come forward here and say a few words, I want to thank the team that has organized this event this morning. It was quite the team. So on it was Terry Bolander, Marie Gabrielson, Pat Gray, Brian Kohler, Laura Lapata, who headed up the team, chaired the meetings, Judy Pace, Jerry Singer, and Ella Corselis. And of course the kitchen crew, who's done a lot of work in the preparation this morning, and all of our performers that performed today. And so, Janice, after that song, come on up and would you join me? Okay. I want to remind you that Janice and Butch are not going anywhere, okay? They're going to remain here as part of our church family, so we're not saying goodbye today. Janice is just giving up the bench over there at the organ and is going to spend more time sitting next to Butch. So when she gets up and is going somewhere, it's probably not towards the organ anymore. Anyway, one of the items that we have this morning is a glass etching here. And, you know, music is a very big part of this church and always has been. A lot of us started attending church here and joined this church because of the music. And Janice has been instrumental in that, a very big part of our music program here. And Janice, thank you for your 40 years plus of being our organist and part of our church family here. So it says, to Janice Moen, with heartfelt gratitude for your devoted and inspiring 40 years of music service to the Kent UMC Congregation 2022.
Well, talk about a morning full of surprises, my goodness. So nice to see all of you here. Thank you for coming. And I was going to thank the group that put this on, and also the kitchen and fellowship hall crew, but Rich already did it so nicely. I don't have any jokes like Rich does. Sorry. You may think that I stayed here for 40 years because of this wonderful organ I get to play on. Maybe because of the piano that Pat and I both think is fabulous. But you know, you can always find another organ and another piano. But I never could have found another congregation like this one. When they said changed for the better, I remember back to my first meeting with Pastor Jim, and I told him that I'm a better person because I came to this church. And I really mean that. Oh, I have to thank Pat for playing for me when I needed to be gone. And, you know, there were several others that played over the years. Corinne Spicer, Ellen Cornelli, Mary Ruth Helpy, Karen Vanderven, and Laura Lee Brown. So thank you to them. I love all these groups. This is a new quartet that we've never heard before. I just thought they did wonderfully. And we have other groups in the church too. We've had the Friends, the Fathers Four, the Bell Choir, and this wonderful women's ensemble. Thank you all. We did start that many, many, many years ago. And it was started actually so I would get a chance to sing because I was always playing. I only sang for about a year and then we couldn't find an accompanist, so there it was again. And I wanted to thank all of the the vocal solos, the instrumental soloists, and all these groups, and of course our choir. Your music just fills my soul. I just love hearing you. So the last one I have to thank is my family, my very patient family. As you probably know, most rehearsals and meetings at a church are held during the dinner hour. And they've just had to adjust over the years. I remembered when I started here, my kids were still in school, still at home and still in school. And they all adapted and worked around the schedule of rehearsals and meetings. And I thank you for that. So I'm so shocked at all the work that went into this, and I do really appreciate it. And I'll be around. But thank you all so much. And I guess we get to go eat now.
Now to close the celebration, we'll have another group sing a song that most of you are familiar with. You can be seated. Blessed be the tide that binds. Once we're done singing, feel free to leave the sanctuary and start heading down to the fellowship hall. I would ask that we allow Janice and her family to go in front through the buffet line, the potluck line. And again, there's plenty of seating and tables out front, and it's a beautiful day. This is a time for you to visit with Janice during the potluck. Brian?
Well, I thought it would be okay if we sang this a cappella. So if we can have here we go. Blessed be the tie that binds our hearts in Christian love, the fellowship, the kindred minds is like to that above.
That concludes the celebration. Let's eat.